Have you ever reached a point in life where you thought, I've done enough? I've given enough. Why does it still feel like I'm carrying the weight of the world on my shoulders? It's funny how, even after 60, 70, maybe even 80 years of living, we still find ourselves frustrated, disappointed, or hurt, not because life is too hard, but because we expected it to be easier by now. Maybe you expected certain people to treat you better. Maybe you expected family to visit more often. Maybe you thought retirement would feel different. Maybe you expected your health, your energy, or your relationships to stay the same forever. And when those expectations aren't met, even the smallest things can feel heavy. But one day, something shifts. It might happen quietly, during a slow morning when you're sipping tea. Or late at night when the house feels too big and too quiet. Or maybe during a walk when you suddenly realize how peaceful the world looks when you stop fighting with it. That's the moment many people discover the truth. Life becomes lighter, not when everything gets easier, but when we stop expecting so much from everyone and everything around us. Expectations are something we all carry. We learn them when we're young. We expect people to be kind. We expect children to listen. We expect our bodies to cooperate. We expect plans to unfold exactly the way we imagined. And for a long time, we don't even notice how heavy those expectations really are. But as we get older, life gently teaches us that expectations often lead to disappointment, and disappointment becomes stress we don't need. It's not that we should stop caring. It's not that we shouldn't hope. It's simply that there's a kind of peace that comes when we allow life to be what it is, instead of what we think it should be. And that peace is something many people discover late in life, often by accident, but it changes everything. I remember talking to a woman, she was 76, who told me that the happiest year of her life was the one when she stopped expecting her children to call every day. Not because she didn't love them, but because she realized they loved her in their own way. She said the moment she stopped expecting the daily call, she started appreciating the weekly one even more. And when they surprised her with a visit, she enjoyed it without the shadow of resentment she used to carry. She didn't lose anything by letting go. She gained peace. And that's what letting go of expectations feels like. The world stays the same, but your heart feels lighter. One of the first expectations many people release as they get older is the idea that people should behave a certain way. Maybe you've noticed it too. When we were younger, we had entire lists in our heads about how others should act. People should be respectful, they should be grateful, they should be on time, they should return our kindness, they should treat us the way we treat them. But life teaches us that people behave according to who they are, not according to who we want them to be. The moment you stop expecting people to act the way you think they should, you stop feeling disappointed every time they don't. You begin to see people for who they truly are. Some are thoughtful, some are forgetful, some are caring, some are chaotic, and some are simply busy trying to figure out their own lives. When you let go of the expectation that others must behave a certain way, you start to judge less, forgive more, and protect your peace more easily. Another heavy expectation many people struggle with, especially after 60, is the belief that life owes us something for everything we've done. Maybe you spent decades working hard, or raising a family, or helping people, or surviving things others don't even know about. But life doesn't follow a scoreboard. It doesn't hand out rewards or punishments. And when you stop expecting life to be fair, you stop feeling angry when it isn't. Instead, you begin to appreciate the small joys you do get: a good meal, a sunny morning, a message from someone you care about, a comfortable chair, a body that still gets you through the day, even if it creaks a little. Letting go of the expectation that life should be different opens the door to gratitude for what life already is. There's also the expectation that our bodies should stay the same forever. This one weighs heavier than we realize. We expect our legs to carry us the way they always have. We expect our memory to stay sharp. We expect our hands not to tremble. We expect our energy to match our spirit. But bodies change, and that's a natural part of life. The moment you stop expecting your body to be 20, 30, or 40 again, you stop fighting with it. You begin to treat it with more compassion, more patience. You stop saying, "Why can't I do this anymore?" and start saying, "What can I do today?" And that change in attitude is what keeps the spirit strong, even when the body slows down. Letting go of expectations doesn't mean giving up. It means opening your heart to a simpler way of living. It means choosing peace over frustration. It means allowing life to unfold the way it wants to, instead of trying to control everything around you. And the beautiful part is, once you release even a little of that weight, you feel a kind of lightness you might not have felt in years. Now that we've opened the door to what happens when we release some of these unspoken expectations, let's move gently into another part of this idea: how letting go helps us create more room for real joy, real connection, and real peace in our everyday lives. And feel that these insights are meaningful. Please type number 2 in the comments to let me know you're still with me. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I warmly invite you to do so, and don't forget to turn on the bell, so you won't miss any of our upcoming videos designed to uplift, inform, and inspire. Your support truly means a lot. It's what keeps us going and allows us to continue sharing thoughtful, helpful content just for you. Now, let's continue this journey together. There's something interesting that happens once you stop demanding so much from life and the people in it. You start to notice things you never paid attention to before. A quiet morning suddenly feels comforting instead of lonely. A slow afternoon feels like a blessing instead of a waste of time. Even the smallest interaction, like a stranger holding a door for you or a neighbor waving from across the street, feels like a tiny reminder that kindness still exists. When expectations loosen, awareness widens, and life begins to feel softer in ways you might not have imagined. One of the areas where this becomes especially clear is in our relationships. As we get older, relationships shift. Some deepen, some fade, some surprise us, and some disappoint us. And for many people, the emotional pain often comes not from the relationship itself, but from expecting it to look a certain way. Maybe you imagined your children or grandchildren visiting more often. Maybe you expected certain friends to stay close forever. Maybe you hoped someone would apologize or finally understand you after all these years. But people rarely change simply because we expect them to. They change when life teaches them to. And sometimes that lesson comes too late, or not at all. When you stop expecting others to fill emotional gaps inside you, something powerful happens. You begin filling them yourself. Instead of waiting for someone to bring joy to your day, you start creating it. Instead of waiting for someone to check on you, you reach out first, or you learn to enjoy your own company. Instead of waiting for an apology, you let go of the resentment for your own peace. Not because the other person deserves forgiveness, but because you deserve freedom. It's a beautiful shift when your happiness no longer depends on what someone else does or doesn't do. You begin to appreciate the people who show up willingly, not out of obligation. And you stop feeling hurt by those who don't, because you no longer measure your worth by their behavior. That alone can take years of emotional weight off your shoulders. Another area where expectations quietly drain our peace is in our daily routines. Many people carry invisible pressure about what they should be doing each day. Maybe you felt it too. You feel like you should wake up earlier. You should stay productive. You should keep up the house the way you always did. You should stay as energetic as you used to be. You should be able to do everything alone. But the truth is, the world has a way of stealing joy from the simplest moments. When you stop expecting yourself to operate like you did 20 or 30 years ago, you begin treating your current self with kindness. You stop judging yourself for needing rest. You stop feeling guilty for moving slower. You learn to celebrate the effort instead of measuring the speed. And suddenly, daily life feels easier, not because the tasks changed, but because your expectations did. I once heard a man say that the happiest day of his retirement was the day he stopped expecting himself to be useful every minute. He realized he had spent so many years working, raising a family, taking care of responsibilities, that he forgot what it felt like to simply exist without a mission. When he finally allowed himself to relax, he said the tension in his shoulders he'd carried for 40 years simply melted. He began to enjoy small things, watching birds, reading books, watering plants, even just sitting in the sunlight. That's the kind of peace that comes when you stop expecting yourself to always be accomplishing something. Letting go of expectations also helps you become more present. When you're not constantly waiting for something to happen, or for someone to behave a certain way, or for life to unfold exactly as you planned, you're free to enjoy what's happening right now. A warm cup of coffee becomes a moment, not a habit. A short phone call becomes a gift, not a disappointment. A walk outside becomes an experience, not a chore. Presence is one of the greatest sources of peace, yet most people don't experience it fully until they let go of the idea that life needs to be different in order to be enjoyed. There's another expectation that can become surprisingly heavy as we age, the expectation to stay strong for everyone. Many people over 60, 70, or 80 grew up in a time when expressing emotions wasn't always encouraged. You were expected to be tough, resilient, stable, the backbone of the family, the problem solver, the one who never breaks. But carrying that expectation for decades can be exhausting. And the moment you let it go, life becomes much lighter. You don't have to be strong all the time. You don't have to pretend you're okay when you're not. You don't have to hold everything together. You don't have to meet anyone's idea of what strength looks like. Sometimes true strength is allowing yourself to feel, to admit when things hurt, to rest when you need it, and to ask for help without guilt. When you stop expecting yourself to be superhuman, you begin living like a real human being, and that is far more peaceful. All of these shifts, from how you see others, how you see yourself, and how you see daily life, slowly create an inner lightness. It's the feeling of walking through life without dragging old disappointments behind you. The feeling of waking up without anxiety about things you cannot control. The feeling of letting each day be exactly what it is, without demanding it be perfect. That lightness is available to everyone, at any age, the moment expectations begin to loosen their grip. And as this sense of peace grows, something else begins to rise in its place, a kind of quiet joy. Not the loud, overwhelming joy of big celebrations or dramatic moments, but the gentle joy that comes from simply being alive, being aware, being present, and being open to whatever life brings next. Let's continue exploring how this lightness opens the door to deeper freedom, deeper acceptance, and a deeper sense of inner peace than most people even realize they're capable of experiencing. There's something remarkably freeing about letting go of expectations, not just for others, not just for yourself, but for life in general. When you stop insisting that things should happen a certain way, you open up space for life to surprise you. And these surprises, small or large, are what bring depth and richness to your days. A conversation that turns unexpectedly uplifting, a quiet evening that becomes deeply restorative, a random act of kindness that touches your heart. These are the moments you start noticing when expectations no longer cloud your perception. At first, letting go of expectations might feel uncomfortable. Your mind is wired to anticipate, to plan, and often to control. You may catch yourself thinking, but I hoped this would happen differently, or this isn't how I imagined it. And that's natural. Change rarely happens overnight. It's a practice, a gentle training of the mind to release the tight grip on outcomes. Start small. Notice when your thoughts drift toward what should happen and gently redirect your focus to what is happening. Celebrate these small victories, they matter more than you realize. One of the most profound changes you'll notice is in your relationships. When you stop expecting, you start listening and observing without judgment. You begin to accept people as they are, rather than wishing they were more like someone in your imagination. Conflicts soften because you no longer demand that others meet your criteria for approval or understanding. You give them space, and in return, your interactions feel lighter, more genuine, more peaceful. You'll even find that you smile more freely because you're not carrying the weight of constant evaluation or anticipation. Another area where letting go of expectations transforms life is in your health and self-care. Many of us carry hidden pressure to look a certain way, to maintain physical strength, or to live without limits. While it's wonderful to care for your body, holding rigid expectations can be draining. By releasing the insistence on perfection, you allow your body to be exactly what it is today, appreciating its resilience and capability rather than lamenting what it cannot do. You might walk slower, stretch more gently, or enjoy lighter activities, all while feeling gratitude rather than frustration. And this shift alone can improve your sense of well-being, both mentally and physically. As life feels lighter, you also notice that small joys become more meaningful. A sunny morning, the aroma of fresh coffee, a favorite song playing on the radio, the laughter of a grandchild, these moments, often overlooked, suddenly shine. It's as if letting go of expectations clears a fog that once dulled your perception. And the more you practice this, the more you cultivate an internal sanctuary of peace, one that is not dependent on anyone or anything outside of you. Importantly, letting go of expectations doesn't mean becoming passive or indifferent. It doesn't mean you stop caring, stop striving, or stop loving. It simply means you stop demanding that life, people, or even yourself conform to a rigid set of outcomes. You act, you love, you engage, and you invest in life, but with a quiet freedom underneath, an assurance that your happiness and peace are not contingent on external conditions. That inner freedom is priceless, especially as the years go by. Sometimes, life continues to challenge you despite this mindset. There will be disappointments, frustrations, and unexpected setbacks. But here's the difference: when you've released the weight of expectation, these challenges don't define you or drain you the way they used to. You approach them with perspective, patience, and a calm resilience that surprises even yourself. It's not that life becomes easier, it's that you carry it differently, with less tension, less worry, and more acceptance. And this brings us to the most beautiful truth of all: peace is not something to chase, and happiness is not something to force. They emerge naturally when you stop grasping so tightly at outcomes. When expectations fade, life feels lighter, and the present moment becomes enough. You begin to savor the texture of each day, the subtle shifts of light, the rhythm of your own breath, the simplicity of a smile. You discover that joy doesn't require perfection, that contentment doesn't require approval, and that freedom doesn't require control. So, if you take one thing from this conversation, let it be this: practice releasing your expectations, little by little, every day. Notice how it changes the way you perceive your mornings, your evenings, your interactions, and even your own mind. Let yourself experience the subtle, gentle, and profound lightness that comes when you allow life to simply be. You may be surprised at how peaceful, vibrant, and joyful life can feel once the pressure of expectation is lifted. And as you walk through this journey, remember to share what you've discovered. Share your small wins, your moments of quiet peace, and your stories of letting go. Engage with others who are seeking the same freedom. It's in these connections, even if small or online, that the sense of community and understanding deepens. You may find that your experience helps others take their first step toward a lighter, freer way of living. If this conversation resonated with you, take a moment to reflect on one area in your life where expectation is quietly weighing you down. It might be a relationship, a personal goal, or even how you view yourself. Today, make a conscious choice to loosen your grip just a little. Notice how it feels. And over time, watch as life gradually becomes softer, lighter, and more joyful, exactly as it was meant to be, with each moment offering its own unique gift. Thank you for spending this time reflecting together. If you enjoyed this message, please leave your thoughts or experiences in the comments below. I'd love to hear how letting go of expectations has shifted your perspective or peace of mind. And if you'd like more conversations and gentle guidance on living a lighter, fuller life after 60, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Here's to embracing each day with openness, grace, and that wonderful sense of inner freedom that comes when we stop expecting and simply allow life to unfold.